I know God has beauty for these ashes. He can turn mourning into dancing. Don't be a no-way person. Be a nevertheless person. This means you choose to believe even when the odds are against you. You stay in faith even when it looks impossible. A few years after Victoria and I were married, we moved out of our townhouse into a very old, rundown house that was close in to the city. The house wasn't worth anything, but it was on a half-acre lot right across the street from a nice neighborhood. Many times in the evenings, we would go out and take walks through the subdivision. And one night, as we were walking, we came to this big 2-story house that was in the final stages of construction. They were putting the finishing touches on it. We walked up to it, and the door was open, so we went in. It was so magnificent. It had high ceilings, big, tall windows. It was so new. Everything was pristine. Here we were living in this 60-year-old house that had been run down. Nobody had taken care of it, had foundation problems, leaks in the ceiling. We fixed it up so we could live in it. But the contrast between our old, run-down house and this beautiful new house was like my brother Paul to me. I mean, there was no comparison. As we were walking, now you're not listening. As we were walking out of the house that day, down the front sidewalk, 26 years old, in awe of what we had just seen, Victoria stopped, turned to me and said, "Joel, one day we're going to live in a house just like this." I looked at her like she had lost her mind. I went on to tell her all the reasons why we were never going to live in a house like that. I went down the list. "Victoria, I work for a ministry. We're never going to have those funds. We can barely afford this 60-year-old house with crooked floors. It's going to take us 30 years to pay it off." I was passionate about my doubt. I wanted her to doubt with me. I went on, but she no more paid me attention. It was like I was talking to a tree. She said, "No, Joel, I can feel it right down in here. One day we're going to live in a house just like this one." The difference between her and me is I saw the facts. I knew what we made. I knew how impossible it was. I let the facts talk me out of it. I had a no-way mentality. Victoria saw the same facts. She knew our same situation, but she didn't stop with the facts. She added the nevertheless. Her attitude was, yes, it's impossible right now. Nevertheless, with God, all things are possible. She was saying, in the natural, it's not going to happen, but we serve a supernatural God. He knows how to open the windows of heaven. That's exactly what happened. About a year later, a builder knocked on our door. We didn't go to him. He came to us. We sold half of our property for more than we paid for the whole thing. He built 2 new houses on it, one for us. We ended up living in a house just like the one we had seen. Victoria barely let me come in there. I almost had to live in the garage. Are you doing what I did? Letting the circumstances talk you out of God's best? Talk you out of being healthy, being free, being prosperous, being fulfilled? Well, Joel, I've been single so long. I don't think I'll ever meet the right person. Get rid of that no-way mentality. Turn it around. I've been single a long time, but I know the right person is headed my way. Somebody fine is in my future. Throw that in too. On paper, it may look like you could never get out of debt. I'm not asking you to deny it. I'm asking you to add the nevertheless. God, the numbers don't look good. Nevertheless, I believe I will lend and not borrow, that I'm coming into overflow. Or I've had this addiction for years. It looks permanent. Nevertheless, I know it's only temporary. I know freedom, wholeness, victory is in my future. What's interesting is Peter went back to the same place where he had not caught any fish the whole night before. Suddenly, it was filled with fish. Sometimes we think, well, I've tried once, didn't work out, it's never going to happen. How do you know God hasn't put the fish for you there now? Don't give up and quit believing. Go back and try again. God controls the whole universe. May not have happened yet. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Just like with Peter, God has an abundance of what you need waiting for you. You haven't missed it. It's not too late. If you'll have this nevertheless mentality, God will lead you into favor, into healing, into abundance, into the fullness of your destiny. This is what happened to a young lady named Elizabeth Blackwell. She lived back in the 1800s. She had a dream to become a medical doctor. That was unheard of back then. There were no female physicians. She applied at medical schools and was turned down 29 times. Most people would have given up. Thought, yeah, I get the message. It's not meant for me. Not Elizabeth Blackwell. She was a nevertheless person. She knew God put the dream in her heart. He had the final say. Every circumstance said it wasn't going to happen. Her attitude was, nevertheless, I'm going to keep trying. She applied to medical school number 30. This time the administration was faintly open to it, but they had to get approval from the students. When they told all the young men that a female wanted to attend, they voted unanimously yes. They were thrilled. She graduated from medical school and became the first female physician in America. She went on to start the New York Infirmary and later founded Women's Medical College. What am I saying? Just because your fish weren't there the last time doesn't mean they're not going to be there the next time. You got to do like Elizabeth and say, God, the odds are against me. Everything says I'm done. I tried and got turned down. Nevertheless, at your word, I'm going to keep believing. I'm going to keep trying. When you're a nevertheless person, God will get you to where you're supposed to be. He'll bring the fish to you. David said in Psalm 3, Lord, how are they increased that trouble me? He was saying, God, it looks like my enemies are multiplying. David not only had other armies coming against him, but his own son Absalom turned on him and was trying to take the throne. David could have gotten discouraged and thought, that's it. I can handle other people trying to stop me, but now it's my own family, I'm done. This could have been the point where David faded off into the sunset and we don't read about him anymore. But David didn't just talk about the problem. He stated the facts, then he took it one step further. Lord, how are they increased that trouble me? But you, O Lord, are a shield unto me. Notice David added the nevertheless. I'm having a lot of trouble. Nevertheless, God is my shield. What's the message? Don't let the enemy have the last word. Always add the nevertheless. The medical report doesn't look good. Nevertheless, the Lord